Hi friends, welcome to Ajay Automate channel. In this video, let's quickly review about the automation questions asked in Infosys for test analyst role, that is for 3 to 6 year experienced candidates. So the interview duration was around 45 minutes and there was only one technical round, and if you clear the technical round, the HR round got scheduled within a week or 10 days time. Okay, and the interview as usual started with self introduction and how many years of experience you have in test scripting and have you worked in API automation. If you have worked in API automation, say yes, you might expect some questions from API automation as well. So the interview questions order were like this. Initially there were questions from automation framework, then Selenium techniques, and then there were questions from oops concepts, and finally there was one program to be written by sharing your screen. Okay, out of 5 we have to score at least 3.5 to clear this interview. So let's quickly review the automation framework related questions asked. So the first question, as asked in many interviews, what are the different components of your automation framework? So you can explain about the different packages you are using in your framework. You can talk about test data maintenance, how we are passing data to your Selenium test. You can talk about Docker file, YAML file, if you have integrated your framework with CI/CD pipeline. Okay. So the next question is, what is the difference between data-driven and keyword-driven framework, which is more preferred framework? Okay, this is kind of tricky because both the framework has its own advantages and disadvantages. We choose framework based on the project we are working on. So maybe data driven framework is used when there is large amount of test data to be handled, or we are passing test data from any external sources like CSV file or Excel. Whereas in keyword driven framework, we write test scripts like keywords. Okay, consider a manual tester who has good product knowledge. He can also contribute to automation in keyword driven frameworks. Okay, as I said, both the framework has its own advantages and disadvantages. So this is kind of tricky, so please prepare this question. Okay, so what version control platform you're using and what is the command used to commit and push code? So explain about Git and how you are committing code and pushing the code to master branches, etc. So next question, do you execute tests locally or do you use CI/CD pipeline? If you have CI/CD pipeline, you can talk about Jenkins and Bamboo pipelines. Okay, if you are not using CI/CD pipeline, explain how you are executing scripts locally and how your code review is done, etc. Okay, so how do you generate test results and how do you take screenshots? If you are using extent reporting, so in the extent report itself, you get the screenshot and all the pass fail status will be there in the extent reports. Okay, so if you are using any other reporting structure, you can talk about that. And next question is very important, what are the coding standards you follow for test scripting? Okay, so as an automation tester, we need to follow certain standards for naming convention, method names, like follow camel case naming standards, adding comments. So avoid using sleep commands, and explain about the code review process and version controlling platforms used, etc. for this question. Okay, so this is a very important question. Okay, next question is, what is page object model design pattern? And you can explain about how we are maintaining objects for every web page in the application. You might have corresponding page objects, so you can talk about page object model design pattern. So next question, how do you pass test data to Selenium test? You might use property file or you might use Excel or CSV file. So explain about the process. What are the improvements you have made to enhance your automation framework? So as an automation engineer, we are not only responsible for writing test scripts, we are also responsible for enhancing our automation framework. So if you have contributed anything on enhancements, like you have integrated extent reports to your framework, or you have contributed in integrating your framework with CI/CD pipeline, you can explain about these things for this question. Okay, so let's see what are the Selenium related questions asked. Without select class, can we automate dropdown? Definitely. We have JavaScript executor, we have send keys, and we have actions class for automating dropdown without using select class. Okay, what type of exceptions you see during automation of such element, null pointer exception, stale element exception? Okay, so what is XPath? When do you use explicit wait? These are kind of commonly asked questions in many interviews. I have explained in many videos. Okay, so how will you handle dynamic web elements? We can go for writing XPath from absolute XPath from the top of the HTML tree to the desired web element. Okay, so how do you handle multiple windows? You can use window handles. And how do you test broken links in a web page? Get all the links using tag name A and verify using HTTP response code. Okay, send a HTTP request and verify the response using HTTP response code. In that way, we can test broken links in the web page. How do you test HTML page source? So using driver.get page source, and you can use contains to verify the particular HTML page source. Okay, it can be a string or anything. Okay, how will you scroll down to a particular web element in a web page? You can use JavaScript executor and scroll into view method, and you can scroll to particular web elements in a web page. So what are the challenges you have faced during automation? How did you overcome it? It can be a small challenge, it can be a big challenge. Okay, so smaller challenge like identifying web elements, okay, locating a web element. This is also a challenge. Okay, and bigger challenges like while integrating your framework with CI/CD pipeline, so you might have learned new things, so it should have taken some time. Okay, so you can explain about the bigger challenges also. Okay, so let's see what are the TestNG questions asked in this interview. So can we run particular test from a class file? If so, how? Yes, we can definitely run particular test from a class file. Your class file might contain multiple tests. Okay, so from that test we have to run particular tests. How do you do that? In the XML file, use include tab and use the methods tag, and you can run that particular test. Okay, so explain the structure of testng.xml file starting from suit tag to test tag and classes methods. Explain the tag structure. So what are the TestNG annotations used and what is the purpose of using annotations? So at test app, before test, and there are multiple annotations, right? Depends on methods. So you can explain about all the annotations you are using and what is the purpose of using annotations. TestNG annotations make the code more readable. Okay, so use of invocation count. Suppose if you want to run one single test as many times, you can go for invocation count annotation. So have you done parallel execution? How many browsers you are running? So can you explain about parallel execution and how many browsers you are automating in your project? Use of data provider annotation to pass data to test. So what is the use of assertion? For verifying actual and expected result, we use assertion. So let's see what are the Java concepts question asked in this interview. Can final keyword be used with static keyword? Yes, finally we can use final keyword along with static keyword and run the program. So difference between method overloading and overriding, difference between abstract class interface, use of static keyword, different, what is finally block. Okay, these are kind of common questions I have explained in many video. So what is hash map and where have you used hash map in your Selenium? So we go for hash map when we have key value combinations. Okay, so wherever you have used hash map in your automation framework or in your Selenium test, you can explain that process. And finally, there were questions from array list. Is array list better than array? And how are objects allocated in memory? Why is main method void and static? These are kind of tricky questions asked in this interview. So please do prepare Java concepts very well before attending interviews. Okay. And the programming question asked in this interview is you need to write a Java program to display anagrams. That is you have to verify the given two strings are equal or not. Okay, and the other program is write a Java program to print characters occurring once in a string. So the input is I have given here is Ajay automates, for example, and in the output I have removed all the characters which are occurring twice. Okay, so you have to write a Java program to get this output. So as I said, the in a single interview there will be only one programming question asked. These questions are combined from two interviews. That's why I have given two programs here. Okay, so we have come to the end of today's video. So I hope these questions will be really useful for your upcoming automation interviews. Okay, so please do subscribe my channel Ajay Automates for more automation interview preparation training videos, and if you are looking for any automation training, you can reach us in this email. Okay, thank you, have a good day, bye.